Hello everyone, my name is Michael and welcome back to Sovereign Gaming, the YouTube channel where I build worlds lots and share some of my thoughts on video games that I enjoy. Today is going to be a bit of an interesting episode because I'm kind of all over the place now that we are returning back to SimCity. I am continuing to build that Pleasantview or Sunset Valley area. Again, that name is still up for grabs, and at this point in time where I'm recording this episode, I haven't confirmed what I want to actually name it, which is why I'm going to be putting it to a poll for you guys. Anyways, yeah, we're kind of all over the place in this episode, and that's really because I have to work with the geography and the topography of the area. I start out with doing kind of the back end of the hills. It's an odd little area to actually work with, only because the hills butt up right against the actual map limit area, and when you have it as land in the back, it kind of tears with that green land tearing there. So I really wasn't sure if that was going to translate to the game or not when I load it up. And remember, I can't access the editing game function due to a shopping spree that I made for the Sims 3 store. And with me being too much of a chicken shit, quite frankly, I am not about to kick the hornet's nest when it comes to a tool that is full of all kinds of surprises and glitches. So yeah, I'm not going to be booting it up in editing game mode anytime soon. So I decided to just make it water in the back for the time being. This could change though, as I do plan to experiment a little bit with the Vista objects that you can place in the world. So I think that it comes with a couple of Vista objects. Again, I will cross that bridge when I get there because I am nowhere near done this. Nowhere near done the SimCity map that we are doing now. So speaking of which, for those of you wondering what the progress is like for SimCity, I would say that we are about, I would say 50 or 60% done in terms of all of the areas that I really want to create here. After finishing up this this Mansion Hills area where all of the rich Sims are going to live and all of that, I just want to move on to doing a rural area and also a little bit of, I guess a beachside cape at the northern point of it. I have to do a lot more, and in the next episode you'll really see me do some geography changes there, so I just will tease you with that. I'll speak a little more on that later on this episode. But yeah, we're about 50 to 60% done, and this remaining half of this series in terms of building within the Create a World tool will really feel, I'm anticipating it'll feel a lot longer because I've got to still go back and detail stuff in the downtown core. I'm definitely going to have to go back and detail things in the Mansion Hills and also in Blue Water as well. Well, not so much in Blue Water. I actually really like the way that it's just kind of turned out there. So I might not do it for Blue Water, but there's a lot of other areas that I still have to detail, and I know that those will be time-consuming tasks there, even though they don't feel as large. So yeah, we're about 50 to 60% done at this time. As you can see, we're doing a little more water work here because it just needed to make sense for there to be water behind the Mansion Hill area. So I decided to widen out the water channel between the downtown core and the mainland a little more distinctly, just to actually add that in. So yeah, we have to do some more water work. Actually, in the next episode, we're going to be doing a lot more water work in terms of what I want the geography to shape out to be. But the water work that I'm doing here is just to make sense, to make it make sense really, that there would be water behind the Mansion Hill area. So you'll see me kind of paint around the bridge crossing to the south and just try to blend it a little more cohesively there. So that's kind of the goal with doing this. And in case I don't end up using one of those Vista objects, it's going to actually help to make the water behind the the Mansion Hill neighborhood make sense as well. So that's kind of a plan there, is to try to future-proof it for myself. Again, I'm not I'm not sold on the depth necessarily, and the trick to working with the water, especially with that bright blue texture that came with Sunlit Tides that I had to download customly, by the way. So if you guys are ever wondering where I got it from, it was if you search up Martine Create a World Textures, that's exactly where I got it from, including the instructions on how to download it too. So it's all in the same place. You'll find it on Mod The Sims. Anyways, I got a little detracted there. The trick with working with this bright blue water texture is not the texture itself per se, but it's actually the height of the water and the height of the the underwater portion. So the higher you make it, the brighter blue it looks, kind of thing. So yeah, for now, I'm not even worrying about that because I still have to work my way with doing that in some of the more finished water areas, which will again be another really big detailing episode there. So yeah, for now, I'm just kind of keeping the water all one level with the idea that I'm going to be coming back to actually detail it up and work with the terrain heights to really make those bright blues pop. Because right now, as much as it's considered bright blue at this time, I feel like they could be brighter. And the only way to really achieve that is to get it really, really close to the water surface level there. So yeah, that's kind of the idea here, is just to make the water make sense and then to set myself up for success in a future detailing video. Like I've mentioned before in earlier videos, but just as a reminder here, I am spacing out these streetlights quite significantly. I do want the Mansion Hill neighborhoods, whether it's called Pleasantview or Sunset Valley, vote below when you can. I want it to actually be darker than the downtown core. So again, that just helps to establish a sense of place, a sense of neighborhood, in that you'll want a car with good headlights, with working headlights, to say the very least. And yeah, so yeah, I want it to be darker out in the Hollywood Hills area. So just as dark as the what do you call it, the Blue Water Village suburbs. So that was kind of the idea here. I just kind of placed them out a little more sporadically and not as intensely as I did with the downtown core. And yeah, I'm gonna love the way that it looks at night, and it's really just gonna help bring it all together that you're in an extension of the city and not in the downtown core of the city. Speaking of which, a big aim of this SimCity World project was not only to introduce or to allow the player to have access to all of the expansion pack features within the game, with the exception of some things within Into the Future and all that, but that's a loading screen anyways, the exception being the observation tower, or the observatory. Anyways, the goal was really to establish a place of connection in cities as they are reflected in real life. So not only am I hoping to empower players with the capabilities to tell whatever story that they want, by creating the world and laying it out the way that I have, I've tried to make it really connect with each other, to really encourage that sense of connection between someone who lives out in a rural farm and someone who lives in the downtown core, and to be able to set the stage to tell those kinds of stories. And I think that's something that really goes underrated these days, and something that's probably overlooked, especially since 2019 during that time, and 2021, if you know what I'm saying, is that people really lost a sense of connection with each other. And even though this is just a world in The Sims 3, and The Sims 3 emulates real life, I mean, art imitates life and vice versa, I suppose, I really wanted to try and encourage a certain sense of connection in terms of players being able to tell whatever story that they want using the gameplay franchise's features without feeling limited. And I really tried to give my interpretation of SimCity a sense of freedom within the gameplay and all of that. So that's something that I was really hoping to emulate here. And yeah, the way that I'm going about it is just creating those distinct neighborhoods and not necessarily looking at limiting lots specifically. and yeah, so yeah, by choosing to put as many lots as I have, I've really tried to allow players to tell whatever story that they want and however many stories that they want to tell within the Sims 3, within a Sims 3 SimCity world here. So that was really the goal that I was going here. But I want to know, like, what do you think on something on that kind of goal and endeavor with SimCity? Do you actually feel like it will give you a sense of freedom within the gameplay to just kind of do what you want? Is there something that I've overlooked at this stage in the game as well? At this time, I haven't exported the world, so there is certainly a lot of opportunity to change a lot of things if I so chose to. So I just thought I would put that out there and see what you guys had to think. Speaking of freedom, this is more so a note for myself, but I have to remember to paint an impassable terrain and all of that. So I am making a note for myself. That's one of the last things I'll ever do. But yeah, continuing on working with the terrain and the textures, again, I'm really not sure like on if I'm getting these hills correct or whatnot, and I don't even know what color I want these hills, whether I want some portions of them to be rockier or not. I have no idea what I'm doing, you guys. So yeah, I've got to, again, like I think I mentioned it in the last video, but I've really got to get some good references, and when I go back and do the detailing, that's when I will really help to make it look a lot better, because even though it looks passable for now, I certainly need to add in a lot more details to just make it come alive and make it feel like a real place and a real neighborhood. And yeah, with these hills, I really was undecided on whether and this might be something I edit in later, but I just might slope, just do a direct slope out from the backs of the lots that are sitting on the mountaintop there, and just call it a slope, call it a day, not do a whole lot of crazy work there, because there's some like peaks and all of that, some hill peaks or some mountain peaks, I suppose, that are sort of blocking the view. So I might just have to either like taper those down a lot or figure out a more graceful way to do it. But yeah, I'm not really great with working with hills and mountains and all that, like, and I don't feel like this game really takes to hills and mountains very well either. I remember like working like visiting Shane Simla in the game, and that had a lot of very hilly terrain, very mountainous terrain in of itself, but I think that half of the work and I don't mean to knock the people who actually designed it, but I think that half of the work was really done by the Vista object that they placed in there. So so yeah, the hills and the terrains, like I just don't feel like The Sims 3 is a great game to really interpret a hilly or mountainous place. I could be wrong, like I'm sure that there are some really beautiful custom worlds out there that do mountains very well, but something of interest is that there are snow textures that you can download, and I have downloaded them in the past where I have used them in Create a World, and they actually do look okay on mountaintops. It's just that I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to actually developing mountains, and that might be something that I actually end up doing in this series, is developing mountains, because these hills are very mountainous. I've been using the mountain tool, and it's got to make sense here. So yeah, that's certainly something that I am just trying to figure out. And with this Mansion Hill neighborhood that is yet to be named, this is sort of my first foray into it, and showing off my lack of skills publicly, to say the very least. So yeah, that's really what the idea is here, is just to kind of practice in a way, and then I'll go back and actually do a lot more detailing work around it. The only thing again is just that I'm not confident with it, first of all, and I am actually just laying out how I want the neighborhood to function. And again, I've mentioned it before, but I'm valuing function over aesthetics at this point, and then when I go back towards the end of the Create a World series, at this point it'll be more about aesthetics than anything else. Hence why I did the coloring of the water at the time that I did, is because I really needed to have the aesthetic inform what I want the look and feel to really be like. I am choosing to paint the water in the, I guess, under the bridge and towards the back right now, because it just kind of feels right to me. Again, using the water to help inform me of what I want the rest of the aesthetics to really look like and how I want the world to shape up. And so that water texture is actually very important and very iconic for the SimCity region here. And I'm just using it to help me get sucked into it a little more, to help me get a little more engaged within my own world here. And I think you guys will too, because it helps to just kind of bring all of those visuals together in a really nice way. Again, I have to, like, the trick with working with that water texture again is just to adjust the heights in terms of getting like some brighter blues, darker blues, and all that jazz. So, and as you can tell, like within that deep seaport portion of it, it is going to be something that I will have to continue to work on in terms of getting that to blend more properly. But this is something I do plan to revisit at a later time in the series when more of the geography and all of the roads are set and the lots and all of that. So I am looking forward to that, because the waterwork that I was doing in the beach area in the downtown core actually turned out very nice. Like at the time I was filming it, I was really unsure on it, but now that I've had some time to like really sit and think on it, I really like it. I just need to do a couple of adjustments, granted, but I really love how it turned out. So, you know, I'm slowly growing with more confidence as I do work with these water textures every day. And I guess maybe that's just the trick of things too, is when it comes to growing confidence, you just have to do it one little day at a time, one step at a time. So, and actually to give it some time for you to reflect and look back on and enjoy. And I really enjoyed how that beach area turned out, and I can't wait to do a couple of more of those, but that I am saving for a more future episode there. Speaking of future episodes, the next episode that I'm going to work on, I'm going to actually go in and do some detailing of this mansion neighborhood. The trees really made the Blue Water Village suburb come alive, and so I want to try and achieve a sort of similar effect there. I also want to work with some terrain paints, and I also got a pretty big surprise in the next episode as well that I am anticipating to build. So I will make a note of myself and do that first, because if I get lost in the detailing of the mansion hills and all of that, then it might just be an episode on that, and then I lose out on fulfilling a promise. So I'm gonna work on that big surprise next when I go to record that video. I haven't recorded it at this time, so yeah. Anyways, at this time we are just going to end off this video. Please stick around for the tours. They are actually starting to look more and more beautiful as I continue to do them. I'm enjoying filming the tours, the city tours there, so please stick around for them. It kind of helps to bring everything all together. And I actually I'm sure you guys have noticed, but I've actually improved a little bit on the camera work as well. So again, just those small little improvements there. Anyways, I want to take a moment to say thank you so much for watching. And if you've enjoyed this video and if you've enjoyed this series so far, then feel free to like and subscribe. You may do as you please there. Anyways, thank you again for watching, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day.